Hi and welcome back. In this video, Claire and I are going to share with you a very special butter cookie recipe. Now this recipe was passed down to me by my mother. And like I told you in the past, my mother was an amazing cook and a baker. You will not be disappointed in this recipe. So let's get going. So now, to make this amazing cookie recipe, you will need 2 cups of all-purpose unbleached flour, 1 cup of confectionate sugar, 1 cup or 2 sticks of unsalted room temperature butter, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 3 hard-boiled egg yolks. In addition to the ingredients, we will need a few cookie sheets lined with parchment paper. Now I love using parchment paper because nothing sticks to it. And the second reason is you could reuse parchment paper over and over again. The only time I don't reuse parchment paper is when I'm doing chocolate chip cookies because of the chocolates getting on the paper itself, or when I'm doing peanut butter cookies or cookies with nuts because of the allergy. Now, if you're wondering how many cookies this recipe will yield, well, it depends on the size of the cookie cutters you're going to use. If you use the large cookie cutters, you will probably get any place between 40 to 50 cookies. But now, if you're going to use the smaller ones, you'll probably get between 50 and 60. Now, the cooking time. That also depends on how thick the cookie is. If you can roll out the dough to about 1/8 of the thickness, it will take between 7 to 10 minutes to cook those cookies. But now, if you can roll out the cookie dough to about 1/2 inch thick, something like this, which I will show you how to do, it will take between 13 to 50 minutes. Now this all depends on your oven. Before we combine all the ingredients together, we're going to have to mash the egg yolks. We're going to do this with the help of a sieve. So what I have done here, I have placed my sieve in a large bowl. Now, before we start mashing, I just want to let you know, make sure that your sieve is not the one with a very fine mash. You're going to place your egg yolks, you're going to break them up, and then you're just going to press them through, just like that. So this is what the egg yolks will look like once they have been pushed through the sieve. So now we are ready to start combining the ingredients. We're going to place the butter in the large mixing bowl. And the sugar. We're going to combine the 2 ingredients. In other words, we're going to let them cream together. Now that the butter and sugar are well creamed, we're going to add the egg yolks and the vanilla, and we're going to let them blend some more. Now we are ready to add the flour, but before we add the flour, we need to scrape the bottom of the bowl. You want to make sure that nothing sticks to the bottom or the sides. And you also want to scrape the paddle. Then we're going to turn the mixer on and we're going to blend the ingredients a little bit longer before we add the flour. So we are now ready to add the flour. And we're going to add the flour slowly. Once we finish adding the flour, we're going to let sure we scrape the sides again. So let's turn the mixer off. Okay. And let's scrape the bottom and the sides one more time to make sure that all the ingredients are blended, and make sure you get all the flour from the paddle. There. Okay. And then, oops, let's mix for a couple more minutes. So this is what the dough should look like. So now that we are done combining all the ingredients, here we have the dough. And we're going to let the dough rest. So what I have done is I have divided the dough into 2 pieces because we're going to be working with half of the dough at a time. So I'm going to wrap each piece in a plastic wrap, and then we're going to place it in a refrigerator for about an hour. There. Before we roll out the dough, we're going to set the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 325 if you're going to use convection oven. So now, let's go and roll the dough. Well, we are now ready to roll out the dough. So here I have the dough. It's been resting in refrigerator for about an hour. Now, you don't want to leave it in the refrigerator for more than an hour because then it becomes very hard and it's more difficult to work. Remember, we have about 2 sticks of butter in here. So the first thing we're going to do is cut this piece in half. It's just going to make it easier for us to roll this piece out first. Then we can roll it in the flour. Now, we are using our hands here. So you want to make sure you wash your hands, which I've already done. Next thing you're going to do is you're using your hands, you're just going to push this dough out a little and just put a little flour on it. Not too much, just enough. Okay, you want to make sure that both sides have the flour now. It's very buttery dough. So you're going to spread it. Again, very little flour on it. Then, using a rolling pin, we're going to gently roll it out. Put a little dough up here on it. Just gently roll it out. And you just want to put enough flour so the dough doesn't stick to the rolling pin. And this is a very soft dough. It's nothing like the pierogi dough, which you have to use a lot of muscle to roll it out. This one, all you do is just gently push it out from the middle out. And we're going to do this till we get the dough to be about 1/8 of an inch thick. There. Now it's not going to be a very big piece of the dough because remember we're only using the 1/2 of 1/2. So we're only using 1/4 of the dough. And here we go. Now, so wonderful about this dough is because it's so buttery, when it comes apart here, you could just use your fingers to bring it together. And I'm going to put a little bit more flour on it. And I'm going to roll it out again. There. So it's very gentle dough to work with. Now remember, these cookies are very crumbly. Once you bite them, they crumble in your mouth. So the dough is a little crumbly too. There. Perfect. Yeah. Now, using a cookie cutter, and here I have like 4 different kinds just to show you that this cookie dough, you could use any season. So here I have some pumpkins, I have a heart for Valentine's, a Christmas tree, and a snowflake. So all you're going to do is gently press and kind of wiggle a little. There. And we're going to take a snowflake. There. And here we have a pumpkin one right there. Okay. Then, using a spatula, okay, you can remove the sides around, and then just right underneath, you're going to lift up, and there's your pumpkin. And now we're going to do the same thing, and here's your heart. Now, we'll definitely use these pieces, so just set them aside. Okay, and don't forget to dip your spatula in the flour. There. And there's the snowflake. And Christmas tree. Now, I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting out the rest of the dough. And then once I'm finished, I'm going to bake these cookies in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes at 350 degrees. And now let me show you what we're going to do with all those little pieces of the dough that we had left over after we finish our cutouts. I have collected all the pieces and formed a ball. Next, I'm going to roll a log out. Something similar to what we did when we did lazy pierogies. And we're going to roll this out till about the dough is 1 inch wide. And then we're going to pat the dough down to about ½ an inch thick. Just like that. Now this is the Polish version of Scottish shortbread. There. Then you're going to take your spatula and cut the log into ½ an inch wide pieces. Place your pieces on the cookie sheet, and then we're going to bake these between 13 and 15 minutes depending on your oven. There. And then once they are baked, we're going to sprinkle them with confectionate sugar. So here are the cookies ready to be decorated. Well, I hope you have found this recipe using egg yolks an interesting recipe. And believe me, the cookies are delicious. So I hope you'll give it a try. Thank you for tuning in.